I want to share a fun, inexpensive, budget-friendly way to recycle old furniture pieces. I'll show you step by step exactly what I did to upcycle this bomb dresser. I've used a proliferated old wallpaper that I already had. Anything that's already got a little bit of texture will do. Any upcycle of wallpaper, as long as it has a little bit of texture, the colors won't matter as we'll repaint. I have a feeling it'll be a solo project. This bomb dresser was one I had kept, and then I was going to sell it, and it never sold. So I'm thinking I'm going to go with a really elegant classic look, and that's where the wallpaper came into mind. I'm going to remove its original finish, including the decoupage paper that's already on here. This particular bomb dresser is made from MDF, it's not wood. This particular piece already had a lot of dings and knocks to it even before I did its first and second finish. So I want to smooth everything out, make sure I've gotten all of the top coat finish, including the decoupage paper. The finish I'm removing is a clear furniture paint wax. It was just a clear wax that I had put on top, so I want to make sure I've gotten all of that removed, including all of the paper, and make sure that's all removed. Once I'm finished removing it all, I'm going to do a light sand in a 220 to smooth everything out. Then I'm going to clean the entire piece inside and out. I actually decided to keep this piece. I really love furniture that can fit for so many purposes. It could be used as a small dresser, it could be used as an end table. It is so versatile in what you could use a piece like this for. This is why I opt to change out the style in which it already is. So I'm going to use a degreasing dish soap, make sure I get rid of all that fine dust from the sanding and clean out everything inside and out. Whether you're doing a finish for the first time or you've already done a finish and you just want to do a whole new makeover on a piece of furniture, prep is always most important before you start any project. Furniture makeovers are like outfits to me. If the first outfit you really liked but you want to change it up, that's perfectly fine if you're keeping the piece or you're selling it. So I wanted to go with something very classic. The Chiffon cream is an easy application of the chalk style paint. It's extremely thick, easy to apply, and it leaves a beautiful finish. So now that I have everything completed for its prep and I've cleaned everything out, I'm going to go and put its first application on. I like to use the really round bristled brushes because they hold the paint really well. I'm just setting up the space and using a little bit of painter's tape so this way I don't knock the bristles to the edges and get paint where I don't want it. Again, this is super easy to do because if you have a piece that suited a certain space and now you want to change it for a different location in your home or the decor in your home is changing, it's perfectly fine to go and put a whole different outfit onto the furniture you already have. I want a really solid, strong base. So I'm going to put 2 solid coats, letting each coat in between dry 100%. The first coat application is always going to be a little bit streaky. That's perfectly normal. But just get it on and make sure that you've got really good coverage. The number one rule I do when I put a base coat on is I do not load my paintbrush too much, and I do small sections at a time. One thing I love about matte finish is it deflects a piece of furniture's imperfections. This piece is a good example of a lot of little ding marks, and it's got a little knock here and there, so no matter how much I make a beautiful smooth finish to this, you're always going to see that, and especially with a sheen finish paint. So this is where I objectively love to go with the chalk styled paints or matte finish paints because it deflects the light to it so you don't see those little imperfections. Now that I'm finishing off the base of the actual bomb dresser, I'm going to put the drawers in so that way they can sit evenly to put on my first base coat. And I generally like to brush every which way. I don't like just straight lines and brush strokes. I like it to have kind of a crosshatch kind of look. And again, because it's matte finish, the light's not going to reflect, and it's going to leave a small little textured outline to the entire paint project once we get into the second coat. Each coat application you put onto your project, time for dry periods will vary. If it's a cool environment, give it a little extra time. If it's a really warm environment, it will dry in no time at all. You can really see some of the little knocks inside this bomb dresser. So again, this is why I love to use the matte style and chalk style paints, because it's going to deflect that. So for the second coat, lots of cross hatching, and it's going to leave a very, very unique texture behind, but it's not something that you're going to see with the reflection of the light. Now that I have 2 full coats completely dry, I'm going to start with the wallpaper, just like you would on a wall. And again, you could even use a decoupage paper or any type of proliferated paper that's got that little bit of texture. So the first thing I need to do is make sure that my pattern is lined up. If your project happens to be more squared or rectangled, it will go even easier. This particular bomb dresser had a little bit of a curve to it, but it was still extremely easy to apply. I have this leftover wallpaper from a previous project in a different home, and I just kind of kept the leftovers for using DIY projects such as I'm doing. Leftover wallpaper of your particular style and choice and even colors can look beautiful applied to a canvas board or inside an empty frame, a glass framed, as wall art as well, whether it's a paintable wallpaper or it's just a wallpaper with a color on it. So there's so many fun things you can do with wallpaper to upcycle it, and I'm really excited to try this on a furniture piece. So I decided just to put the wallpaper onto the drawer fronts themselves. So all I'm doing is measuring out the drawer front, and mine came out to 24.5 inches, which leaves it to needing the wallpaper to match at 12.25 on each side. So I just cut it based on the measurements that I needed. I think this is a fantastic way to upcycle furnishings as well as use up old wallpaper. You can also find wallpaper very inexpensive at Walmart, as well as even the restores. So the Habitat for Humanity stores will have wallpaper available probably for the fraction of the price. I'm also using a wallpaper adhesive, but you don't have to use that for a project like this. You could actually just use Mod Podge or Elmer's glue mixed with some water. But this is something I already had on hand, so it was easy for me just to go ahead and use this. Wallpaper is easy to apply. The wallpaper adhesive glue is just like any. It does not dry super quickly, so you have plenty of working time. The only trick with wallpaper is making sure that you're smoothing it out. And I have this wallpaper tool, but you could even use an old credit card or something similar that has a hard plastic and it's got a smooth edge to it. And this just helps pull out the air bubbles, and you're just going to smooth it down onto your surface. Now I do know that when I go around to make the cuts for the drawers themselves, there will be a little bit of unevenness. So there is a little trick to smoothing that all out, similar to a decoupage paper. And I will show you exactly what I did to make sure that the edges around the drawers were completely seamless. So just using an X-Acto knife, I was able to cut into the edges around the drawer fronts themselves. I did find using the wallpaper instead of decoupage for a furniture project a little bit easier because it's a tougher paper. But you still want to go slow and steady so you don't make any quick cuts and you went the wrong way. So definitely use that X-Acto knife nice and patiently, because it's easy to have it direct into an angle and cut off a piece that you didn't want to. Once I had the second piece cut and applied, I still would run that wallpaper tool, so that plastic edge, to run out all of those small little air bubbles. Once I finished, I used a 120 grit, and what I'm going to do is go all the way around the edges of each of the drawers, and I'm going to smooth them out at a 45-degree angle, and that's just going to make the wallpaper more seamless around the drawers. Then I'm going to complete with a top third coat of the matte finish chalked paint. I do recommend to make sure that you wait maybe about an hour to let the wallpaper adhesive dry completely before you go around and do this step, because you don't want the paper to be wet or moist underneath, and this may shred or tear the paper as you're going around on that 45-degree angle. Again, you're just wanting to cut the paper right at the edge so it has that nice seamless look. When I go in for my third coat, I'm definitely going to be painting over the wallpaper. So again, if you're using a wallpaper that has a little bit of texture to it, but it's not considered a paintable wallpaper, you can still paint over it, so this way it can run seamlessly and match cohesively with the paint job that you're doing on your furniture project. So sometimes with the cuts that you've done, there might be a little tiny rippling, but this step that I'm doing with the sandpaper at the 45-degree angle is going to make everything nice and smooth, as well as remove all of that rippling that you might see at your edges. So I'm going to paint the paintable wallpaper first, then I'm going to go around and do all the edges of the drawers, and I'm also going to do a third coat all over the base of the bomb dresser. Once everything is completely dry, I'm going to actually use a polyacrylic to seal the entire project. The polyacrylic that I've really become quite partial to is the Ultra Matte Finish polyacrylic top coat, and I'll be applying 2 full coats of that when I get to the end. If you already have a furniture clear wax, you can also use that in this project as well. I just opt to use the polyacrylic because I find that the application is so much easier. I just dip a brush into it, I put my 2 coats down, it's fast drying and it's easy, and it's water-based, so it's a very easy cleanup off your brushes as well. Any of these kind of paint projects and DIY upcycling projects, I tend to veer towards water-based products because I find that it washes off of clothing, hands, and it's just easier to work with. And of course, odor. It's a lot less odor involved. I did wait for overnight for the third coat to be completely dry over the entire project before I did the top coat with the polyacrylic. I think this was a great budget-friendly makeover. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this week's video, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you soon. Until then, take care.